Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So today's episode comes to you courtesy of my amazing patrons. Once a month they vote on the commander that they want to see in an upcoming deck tech, and the commander that gets the most votes wins. And the commander that got the most votes this month is an incredibly spicy commander with Ave Progenitor Ooze. Here we go. 2/2 Legendary Ooze for 2 green. Storm. That's right, Storm on a green commander. Also, it isn't legendary if it's a token. It enters the battlefield, they counter on it for each other ooze you control. So essentially, the more spells we cast in a turn, the more copies of this we get in play, and the bigger each of them is. And yeah, that's kind of a very strange goal for a green deck to just storm off, but that is exactly what we're going to be doing. We are going to be trying to storm off either, well, with a bunch of spells all at once, you know, like storming, or maybe even some really spicy and very weird ways to make an absurd amount of oozes that, well, are absurdly large that can just decimate our opponents just out of nowhere. So, yeah, our opponents aren't going to see this coming. And yeah, they're not going to see the budget coming either. Just $14.73 for this deck, according to Moxfield. Now, keep in mind that doesn't include the cost of shipping or include the cost of basic lands, but you might already have those, or you can maybe get them from a friend, your LGS, or just buy them in bulk. Go get a bunch of forests. Great. Regardless, if you are interested in this spicy deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Now, with all that said, let's jump into it. So, first up, tactic number 1, Enchanted. Yeah, we're going to be utilizing some enchant lands like Wild Growth, an aura that just costs a single green mana, enchant land. Whatever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green. Now, this basically just doubles up the effectiveness of one of our lands, and we've got ways to make it even more effective, and we've got ways to actually utilize land more than once, which is why we are leaning heavily into enchant land. So we're also going to be utilizing Fertile Ground. Basically the exact same thing, except for it's 1 mana of any color, but we're in a green deck, so green. Yeah, we're just using the exact same thing. Wolfwell Haven, again, same thing essentially. An extra green is going to be added, and if we want to sacrifice it to make a wolf, we can. We probably aren't going to do that, though. Regardless, Overgrowth is next. Incredibly efficient card. Just 3 mana, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, we get an additional green. So that 1 land, instead of just tapping for 1, is now tapping essentially for 3. So that's quite spicy. Speaking of which, Dawn's Reflection and Market Fest will do the exact same thing. They each cost 4. When the enchanted land is tapped for mana, we add 2 extra mana of any combination of colors. It's gonna be green. I mean, we're in a mono green deck regardless. All these ways are great to essentially hypercharge a land, and we can of course make even more use out of that. We'll talk about those cards here in a bit. Glorious Sunrise can also help us out in a couple different ways. Beginning of combat your turn, you can give creatures you control +1 trample until end of turn. So let's say we're at the end game where we have our commander and copies of our commander in play. They're massive. Let's give them trample to get things through. Or we can give target land the ability to tap for green until end of turn. So again, a spicy way to say, hey, yeah, we'd like to utilize that land for even more. Also, we could have a, draw a card if we control a creature power 3 or greater, so that could be an option as well if we need to draw some cards. Or, sure, yes, gain 3 life, and that actually can come in handy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But now let's move on to tactic number 2, huge dorks. And we're going to utilize some dorks in different ways. I mean, first we got Crows and Restore, a different kind of a dork, a 1/2 Human Druid for 3 mana. Tap, untap, target land. Or Threshold, untap to 3 lands, activate only 7 more cards in your graveyard. So if we have Threshold, my goodness, this basically is tap for 3. Or again, even more. Even if it's just this tap, untap 1 land. Again, if we do have that 1 land that is enchanted by a lot of things, we can do some crazy things with it. A lot of mana to be had. Land of War Tribe, incredibly efficient, incredibly effective. 3/3 for 3 green mana. Tap for, you guessed it, 3 green. Viridian Joiner, 1/2 for 3 mana. Only taps for 1 initially because it's going to tap equal to its power. But that being said, yeah, we've got ways to pump this. We have plenty of ways to pump this, and when we do, it can tap for an absurd amount of mana. Argothian Elder, this can tap and untap 2 target lands, essentially. So those lands that we need to untap again, they might be enchanted, they might not be. Regardless, we're getting 2 mana at the very least out of this, and maybe even more. We also have Layweaver, essentially does the exact same thing at 4 mana. Karamarch's Acolyte, which can give us a ton of mana with very little setup. A 1/4 Human Druid for 3 and a green. tap an amount of green equal to devotion 2 green. So the more green things we get into play, the better. Green pips, I should say. Cradle Clear Cutter might not help with those green pips. That being said, can help with power. A 3/6 for a 6 mana, or just 3 mana for a 1/3. Tap to add amount of green equal to its power. Elvish Aberration, again, tapping for 3 green. We can also force cycle away if we need to, though. Next up, though, tactic number 3, do that again. Yeah, these cards are quite spicy with this kind of a build, because essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting those mana dorks out, whether they're the untapping of lands, or they tapping for mana, or tapping based on their power, and then we're going to be casting cards to untap them, to do it again, and again, and again, and again. So we can storm off and then cast our commander in a giant crescendo of awesomeness. So let's go through these. Arachnoid, I should say, adaptation. Instant for a single green mana. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains reach left turn, untap it. So again, keep in mind these untap effects also pump. Those are really good for those creatures that care about their power. Next up, Burst of Strength. Get a counter target creature, untap it. Emerald Charm. Choose 1, untap a permanent. Destroy target non-aura enchantment. Target creature lose flying until end of turn. All of which can be very helpful. Moving on. Leaping Ambush. Our creature gets +1/+3 and gains reach until end of turn. Untap it. Ornament Courage, the exact same thing. Stony Strength. Counter on a creature. Untap it. Sudden Spinnerets. Target creature gets +1/+3 until end of turn. Put a reach counter on it. Untap it. These can also make our creatures pretty good blockers, too, out of nowhere. Vines Recluse. +1/+2 and reach until end of turn. Untap it. Aim High. +2/+2 reach until end of turn. Untap it as well. Boon of Beseiju. +X/X until end of turn. XC Grace Mana value among permanents you control. That can be quite a bit. Untap it. Bull Strength, +2/+2, trample until end of turn. Untap it. Yet another way to get commander damage through with our commander. Gift of Growth, +2/+2 until end of turn, or we can kick it for +4/+4. Regardless, untap it. Savage Surge, +2/+2 until end of turn. Untap it. You're seeing a pattern here. Next up, Steady Aim, +1/+4 and reach until end of turn. Untap it. And finally, Witch's Web, +3/+3 and gain reach until end of turn. Untap it. Next up, well, let's talk about some spicy combos, starting off with combo number 1 and tactic number 4. Kind of confusing? No, not really. Anyways, maybe a little bit. Essential Statue. So, outside of just utilizing our untapped shenanigans to cast a ton of spells in a turn, and believe me, we can cast a lot to get that storm count up, we can also get maybe an infinite. Okay, rules lawyers out there. Nothing is technically infinite in Magic, right? We have to choose a number, right? A trillion. Okay, a trillion storm. Cool. Ancestral Statue. Yeah, you usually see these like in artifact decks, but not in this one. A 3/4 golem for 4 mana enters the battlefield, returning non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. So even if we have a big spicy turn where we make a lot of mana, we can actually just utilize this to like get it out, bring it back to our hand, because it actually can bring itself back to our hand again and again and again. So we can just keep doing that a lot, but we can also, again, go infinite. Rules lawyers out there, a trillion, whatever it is, with something like Ezroot Channeler. A 4/6 Treefolk Druid for 6 mana with reach. Creature spells you cast cost X less to cast for X amount of life you gain this turn, and this can tap to gain us 2 life. So, well, very simply, again, we just talked about, what, like 15 or so untap effects that we have access to? Yeah, you tap this, you gain 2 life, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I'll untap it, I'll tap it again, gain 2 more life. Oh, all my creatures cost 4 less. Cool, Ancestral Statue is now free, meaning I can play it again, bring it back to my hand, play it again, bring it back to my hand, play it again, as many times as I want. Again, a trillion, whatever number that is, then all of a sudden you cast your commander, yeah, for just 3 mana, green, 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 and all of a sudden you have a massive army of all copies of your commander that are all massive. Good luck, opponents, with that. Another note with this one, too, Ezroot Channeler also works great with Glorious Sunrise, too, again with that gain 3 life if you need to, in case you don't have that untap effect. Next up, though, let's talk about yet another combo. This is going to be combo number 2, tactic number 5. Mambo number 5 comes to mind right there. Anyways, Hyrax Tower Scout, a 3/3 human scout for 3 mana, enters the battlefield, untap target creature. Again, we've got a lot of mana dorks and like pseudo mana dorks, either that tap for a lot of mana or can tap to untap a land. So if we've got, say, a land that's supercharged right now, it can tap for a good amount of mana. Well, it can help with this combo. Or again, if we've got one of those creatures like Viridian Joiner that can tap equal to its power, yeah, we can easily get its power up and then make it part of this combo as well. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be infinitely getting this in play. Again, not infinite rules lawyers out there, a trillion times, whatever it's going to be. And we are essentially going to keep untapping that mana dork with Kogla the Titan Ape, a 7/6 ape that costs 6 mana, enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. When it attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. So it's already a great removal spell for us. On top of that, though, pay a green and 1 mana. I don't know why I said that in reverse, but I did. 1 and a green. Return target human you control back to its owner's hand. Coggle gains indestructible out of turn. Yeah, Hyrax Tower Scout is a human, so we can bring it back to our hand, replay it again, bring it back to our hand, replay it again. Again, as long as we have essentially a mana dork that can generate 5 mana each time, we have not infinite mana, but infinite cast triggers. And if we do have one that can generate 6 mana or more, that is infinite mana then as well. So have fun with that crazy turn. Moving on, and this one does require a little bit more mana, but again, this deck is all about mana, right? We've got ways to get dorks out, we've got ways to get lands hypercharged, and we've got ways to utilize our lands like Early Harvest. Now, this card can just be part of that, normal Storm turn, non-comboing Storm turn if we need to. It's a great one, instant for 3 mana. Target player untaps all basic lands they control, so yeah, this is a budget deck, and I, as a budget player, love basics. We've got a ton of force, over 30 force in this deck. We're most likely going to have just force in play. So we're going to untap all of our basic lands. We're going to net a lot of mana. It's like a giant ritual forest. Keep in mind, again, with those hypercharged lands that have, essentially a couple ores on them maybe, they're going to be tapping for even more, essentially in that same turn, right? So this is part of the combo. There's also another part that we could utilize, though. Rude Awakening is another example of one that we could utilize. Untap all lands you control, or until that turn lands you control become 2/2 creatures or so lands. We can entwine it as well. Yeah, most likely we're just going to need that first part again. Untap all of our lands for 5 mana. So essentially these do the exact same thing. Early Harvest is just 2 mana cheaper. That being said, we cast, say again, Early Harvest. And you know what? We really would like to get Early Harvest back so we can do it again. So we cast something like Regrowth. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Awesome. So we can do that again. We cast Early Harvest again. Cool. We just did it. Great. No combo to be had right there, right? No, because here's the other piece of the combo, and that really matters when we're actually utilizing this in the combo aspect versus just a nice Stormy aspect, which those two cards work well. We have Shigekai Jukai Visionary. Now, this one has some pretty nice effects. Pay 1 a green, tap, return it to its owner's hand. Peel the top 4 cards of your library and put a land card from on the battlefield with the rest of your graveyard. So we can actually ramp with this. But also, we kind of want it back in our hand because, here we go, pay XX, green, green, discard it, return X target non-ledger cards from your graveyard to your hand, and it does not say exile this. Usually, these kind of recurring effects, typically, especially when it's for more than one card, will exile. This one does not. So we can bring back both Regrowth as well as Early Harvest or Rude Awakening, whichever one we utilize in the combo, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, because we keep regrowthing the Shigeki back to our hand, which can get the other two back. So yes, this is another, perhaps more convoluted approach to comboing, but regardless, even if we're not comboing with these cards, these work incredible in a normal Storm turn. But now let's move on to tactic number 7, go get it, because yeah, we want some ways to potentially go get those key pieces, those ancestral statues, those Koglas, whatever we need essentially for our combo turn. We need to go get those cards with cards like Analyze the Pollen. Sorcery for a single green mana. As it costs cast a spell, you collect evidence 8, so we could do that if we need to. Search life for a base land card, but if evidence is collected instead, search life for a creature or land card. If you have that card in your hand, then shuffle. So essentially, this can just be part of a good Storm turn if we need to. Just 1 mana, go get a land. Cool, we hit our land drop. Great, good for us. Or, again, hey, if we've got the evidence 8, which is pretty easy for us to get to, then essentially this is a 1 mana tutor for any creature in our deck, including, again, our combo pieces. Moving on, though, Ecological Appreciation. X2 and a green. Again, X spells are lovely in this deck because, hey, we've got a lot of mana. Sorcery, search library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names and each have mana value X or less and reveal them. If opponent chooses 2 of those cards, shuffle the chosen cards in your library with the rest onto the battlefield. Exile this. So, yeah, essentially we're going to get 2 of our 4 key pieces. An opponent might not even realize, actually, which ones combo together. They might not. If they do, though, we're still getting at least 2 of the 2 separate combos, potentially, that we can then utilize on a future turn. And again, right onto the battlefield. Lovely. Fierce Empath, though, a 1/1 elf for 3 mana. Enters the battlefield and may search life for a creature card, mana value 6 or greater. Reveal it, put your hand, then shuffle. Again, our combos actually, as Root Channeler, as well as Kogla, 2 of those pieces of the combos, revolve around 6 mana value creatures. So, yeah, we can utilize this and, yeah, at least get 2 of them. Threats Undetected. Search library to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. Opponent chooses those cards, 2 of the cards. Shuffle them in your library, the rest in your hand. Again, basically getting potentially 1 piece of 2 combos, or if an opponent doesn't know what we're doing, 2 pieces of 1. Magus of the Order. Pay a green, tap, sacrifice it, another green creature. Search library for a green creature card from the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So, again, 3 of those creatures that we talked about are green, basically everything but Ancestral Statue. Go get that combo piece that you need. Then we've got Primal Command. Choose 2, target player gains 7 life. Put target non-creature put on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles their graveyard in the library. Search for life for a creature card. Reveal, open your hand, then shuffle. Yeah, great options. Again, actually, the 7 life could work with as root channels. Keep that in mind. Next one's removal. Next one is, removal for graveyards against graveyard decks. And the last one is, of course, go tutor for the creature that you need. Brutalizer Exarch, a little bit similar in this. Enters the battlefield, choose 1. Search life for a creature card. Reveal, put in your hand, shuffle your library, then put it on top. So it is a slight delay tutor, but still very, very good. And then also, the other option is to put target non-creature put on the bottom of its owner's library. So some good removal for us there. Moving on, we've got other ways to dig, into our graveyard and into our decks. Let's talk about tack number 8, dig down. Wildest Dreams, basically like Shigeki, but essentially this one exiles X, and a green. Turn Exarch cards from your graveyard to your hand, exile this. So again, on our normal Storm non-combo turns, this can be huge to be like, okay, I get back all those untap effects. Do it again, our opponent's like, oh no, how many spells has it been? 15, okay. We're in trouble. And then you're like, giant oozes, yay! Speaking of that, Life Crafter's Bestiary, an artifact for 3 mana. Give your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, including, of course, your ooze commander, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Harmonize, very simple, very effective. 4 mana, draw 3. Tower of Fortunes, just 4 mana, but costs 8 to tap again. Mana's not going to be a problem with this deck. You're in a green deck. Pay 8 tap, draw 4 cards. So we need to dig down deeper in our deck. We can. Shamanic Revelation, draw a card for each creature you control. That can be quite a lot. Also, if we got creatures that are decently large, gain 4 life for each creature with power 4 or greater. Lore Seeker Stone, another repeatable artifact to draw us cards. 6 mana, pay 3, tap, draw 3. It's going to cost 1 more to actually activate for each card in our hand, but if we don't have a hand, cool, only 3. Speaking of which, Sandstone Oracle, cost 7, 4/4 Flying Sphinx, enters the battlefield, we choose an opponent. They got more cards in their hand than we do. Hey, you've got 7, I've got 0. Share the wealth. Draw up to that amount, essentially. Then we've got Tree Shaker Chimera. This can actually help us be a win condition, essentially. 8/5 Chimera for 7 mana. All creatures able to block it, do so. So again, if an opponent has some pesky blockers, we've got our Ooze Army. They're like, oh no, I have to block that Chimera, I guess, with everything? That's a poor decision. And we're like, yep, you lose. Also, when this dies, we draw 3 cards. So yeah, we can replace some cards in our hand with this too. Moving on, though, let's talk about tactic number 9, Smash It. First up, we've got Broken Bond. Sorcery for it is 2 mana. So we're target artifact or enchantment, put a land card for your hand onto the battlefield. So some nice ramp for us as well. Outland Liberator. This one actually has pay 1, sacrifice, destroy target artifact or enchantment. But on the backside, it gets even better. A 3/3 instead of a 2/2. Exact same thing. We can pay that 1 to sacrifice it. But also on top of that, when it attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. So when this is flipped over, even more fun things happen for us. Return to Nature. This is a good flexible one. Choose 1 to start target artifact, enchantment, or exile a card from a graveyard. Fade from history. Get rid of all those pesky artifacts and enchantments. Each player controls an artifact or enchantment gets a 2/2 bear. Oh, cool, cute. Then destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Neverall's Disc, a great panic button for us. Pay 1 tap, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. This does enter the battlefield tap, so it does take 1 turn to actually utilize. Null Mage Shepherd can use it right away, and actually, and a big effect if you got like creatures in play. Tap for untap creature you control, structure, artifact, or enchantment. So yeah, our giant Ooze Army can really help with this too. Steel Hellkite. This actually has fire breathing, which can come in handy again because the massive amount of mana that we can actually dump into this, 2 to get +1 with 0 essentially repeatedly, yeah, we can actually take opponents out quite easily. Keep in mind also we do have a way to make it mana too, so that's another way to do it as well. That being said, this is actually in the deck for pay extra each non-land permanent mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Skullcat this turn, activate only once each turn, and of course Terastodon. This can be quite huge. A 9/9 elephant for 8 mana. Enters the battlefield to destroy 3 target non-creature permanents. For each permanent put a graveyard this way, its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. And I think I said finally. But anyways, Cankerbloom, a 3/2 Phyrexian fungus for 2 mana. Again, we can pay 1 to sacrifice, destroy an artifact, enchantment, or proliferate. So again, make your oozes slightly bigger. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this spicy build? Again, this is very budget friendly, just showing that you can do some crazy things, even on the smallest of budgets. Even if you're like, yeah, okay, mono green storm. Wow. How on that kind of a budget? You walk up to the table with this commander and they are not going to be expecting something like this. So yeah, if you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.